show up wherever I am.
Do you want me to say something to him?
No, don't say
I can
anything to
talk to
him.
him if it's freaking
No.
you out.
No, he hasn't done anything aggressive yet, so it's okay to just leave him in the chat.
I
Oh,
don't know
hi
why he's
everyone.
following you everywhere. Hey,
Hi.
hello.
Welcome. Yeah, this is still the Unready room, and obviously starting in the same unready fashion as per usual. Unfortunately, Dan is not with us tonight, but that doesn't mean I'm here by myself. Obviously, I got my friend Chris Littlefield with me. Woo, woo,
Hey
woo.
everybody, what's up? Sorry, Marg.
Yeah.
It's me. It's me, not Dan.
It's you. It's you. So, by the way, I'm not really being stalked. We were making jokes about my husband Dave showing up on every live show that I do because he's my hubby and he loves me. So, yeah, so I hope everybody in the chat is well and is well. I'm already off to a great start.
Ooh,
And
Bosnia, Sabko from Bosnia. Wow. Welcome.
wow.
Good to have
Yes.
you.
Welcome indeed. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about Star Trek Discovery Season 3, Episode 2, Far From Home. We've got someone from Iceland. Oh my gosh, did you recognize your country in this episode?
Right?
Just got really
It's
excited.
Huikur. Did I say your name right? Huikur. I'm close. I know I'm
Yes.
close.
And someone from Canada. Oh my
Canada?
goodness. We are
Holy
so
crap.
international right
It's so
now.
international, you guys.
Yes. So also, hello to all the people who are watching this after the live show, who are just watching the video on Dan's YouTube channel. We appreciate you still coming and watching, even though you can't participate in the chat. Because I know there are time zones and not everyone can be here live. So, but we thank you for being here. And this is my first time actually being in control of things. So if I screw something up, I apologize in advance. So
you're not going to screw things up.
Well, I'm covering all my bases.
You're a boss. You're the hardest working woman in podcasting.
Yeah,
I have faith in you.
Don't say that because I don't think that's true. But thank you.
Thank you, Huikur. Apparently, I did pretty well with his name.
Excellent.
He was a guest on postcards once.
Fantastic. That is fantastic. I remember that episode. Now that you're talking about it, I remember.
He's another ginger too.
Nice.
Another ginger trekker.
We like the gingers up in here. I used to be a ginger, and then I got old. No, I was born a redhead, and then my hair all fell out, and then it came in sort of that white blonde that you get sometimes, and then it started going back to red, and then it started going gray, and here we are today. That's awkward.
You know what
all
they
right.
say, once you go ginger, you never go.
What?
Nothing works. Blinger.
Okay, no. I'm gonna say no on that one.
Venge her. Moving on. I got a new shirt today, y'all.
Yeah, show the new shirt. Nice. You too can get this shirt by going to the Star Trek shop.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's it.
Oh, now I'm doing that thing that they did on Sesame Street. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Sorry,
11,
anyway.
12. 11, 12.
Yes. Yep, that.
Cringer.
So, Cringer.
Once
Dave's
you go
good
ginger,
at that.
you get a little cringer.
Okay, let's please stop. My mother's watching.
It's time for Dan to be here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it's me, y'all.
All right, let's do what we came here to do and talk about Star Trek Discovery, Season 3, Episode 2, Far From Home. And yes, they are far from home. In fact, this planet doesn't even have a name, as so far as anyone knows. So it starts off with another recap of the previous season, but this time focused on the crew actions instead of just focusing more on Michael. And we join them in progress we joined their wormhole trip in progress as they come shooting out of the wormhole. Everybody's stunned or unconscious. The ship's a mess, and it's just hurtling towards this sort of broken, icy planet that it seems like there was some kind of massive meteor that may have hit somewhere and just thrown chunks of the planet up into orbit. That's what it looks like to me. Don't know if that's the case. It's what it looks like to me, give or take. So I don't know why I started doing this.
I don't
I
know
just
what
did.
that's about.
I don't understand. It's just coming out of me. So I'm gonna stop
Welcome.
doing this now.
I'm Marlon Brando.
They crash through like a huge chunk of something. And I really do like how everybody's trying to get control of their stations. Nothing's working. Critical systems failing. Detmer has no helm control. She says she's going to reroute. So she starts rerouting and she finally gets some control back and they're about to hit this thing and Urushkun goes, brace.
Hey,
and then they're like,
I thought
brace,
control was gone.
brace. For the
Control
love
was...
of all that's holy.
I thought we left to get rid of control.
Do not make me come over there. You will not like what happens.
How do you know?
Nobody likes a smart aleck. She's trying to regain control of the ship. Go.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Stinker. Anyway.
I'm going to need more proof that control is gone. Like
fine.
Some fleshy meat.
Oh, gross. Please. We'll get to that, all right? We will get to that, and you can expound as long as you want on the bits of Leland that are left over. Yeah, they crash. They crash into the planet. We kind of knew that from the season 3 trailers that we've seen, but it was hard for me to watch. It was really hard for me to see that ship crash like that.
Kung says Detmer does a much better job of crash landing a ship than Troy.
You know what? I am sick of the Troy hate. Everyone in that saucer section is alive because of Troy, not in spite of her. So you can stop with the Troy hate. And no women driver jokes either, because women statistically are better drivers, and that's why their insurance rates tend to be lower. Thank you, and good night. Okay, not good night. We're not done.
Don't leave.
No, please don't leave. So, all right, let's jump into this, because this is a thing that we are seeing a lot, and I want to explain some things. So, as a person who has had situations with PTSD, I can honestly say I believe 100% that this is nothing except PTSD. Sometimes it's just what it looks like. Sometimes that's just the way it is. And I feel there's all these theories like, oh, what if control got in her implant because it was an Arium and her memories were on the ship? I'm going to say this one last time because I've said it in 2 other places. Arium's memories, all of Arium's data, they are gone.
Arium's gone.
Everything was deleted because they weren't going to take any chances. And you actually see that on screen. You see that on screen.
Yep.
So it's okay. It's not control. Her implant's not malfunctioning. We kind of just have to remember that Detmer has been through this kind of trauma before at the Battle of the Binary Stars.
Right.
And so when she gets this injury again in pretty much a similar place to where she was injured the first time, she is suddenly triggered by this past trauma. And no one can choose when they're triggered or what they're triggered by. And when you're triggered, you just kind of are in another place. You're suddenly reliving that thing as if it had just happened.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's just what it looks like.
That's what I'm really hoping, because I feel like getting like a nice human interest story where people are actually dealing with real life stuff because of the traumas that they've been through. And it's not a sci-fi element. It's not a, undercover Klingon operative disguised as PTSD, all that kind of stuff. Um,
Mhm.
it's just a woman that is traumatized, and she's reliving it again. And people have died, and she's dealing with stuff.
She is. She
That's what I
had
want it to be.
it. I really, honestly feel 100% that that's what this is. Think about the amount of pressure that has been on her as the pilot of the ship, because it was up to her to get them down without killing everyone. And when she ends up going to sickbay and they're rolling away a dead crewman, she
Right.
probably feels guilt over that. She probably feels something she did or didn't do had to do with that crewman. See, this is part of the wonder and horror of being an empathetic person, because I can so easily put myself in her shoes and think about how she must feel. So, yeah,
Yeah.
she's traumatized. And of course she's traumatized. They all should be functioning very much worse than they actually are. But they're Starfleet. They
Yeah.
pick themselves up and they keep going.
Yeah. And I want to see, yeah, Marg, I love the connection between Detmer and Oo. I really need that to be fleshed out more. I need that to be explored more. I just love the two of them together, and I want to see more of it
Yes,
on a
they
more
make a great
personal level. I think they make a good couple,
they
but we don't
I
know
don't
anything
know.
about that.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen with them, and I guess we'll just see it as it unfolds.
Yes.
I have the benefit of having seen 2 more episodes after this,
Rub it in, why don't
but,
you?
it's a blessing and a curse, because it's a blessing because I get to watch it without any of the internet's opinions
This is the
influencing
part
anything that I see.
that I'm really jealous of.
Yeah, but at the same time, I have this knowledge that I cannot share, and it's killing me. I wanna talk about it so much, but I have to wait.
I noticed that when we recorded, we do the What the Future Holds, the Discovery podcast on Holosuite Media. And I said a couple things because I haven't seen the next 2 episodes like you have. And every once in
Mhm.
a while I said something or, a thought or a prediction or whatever. And you just got that look on your face right there to where you just
Mhm.
look to the side and don't say anything. You put your poker face on. And I'm like, she knows something that I don't know. And she's not saying anything right now.
Yeah, actually, that's not my poker face, this is my poker face.
Poker face.
Yes.
I would not play poker with you.
No, you shouldn't. Ah, so, yeah, we've talked a bit about Kayla. Let's go back to just after crashing into the planet, because
Mm-hmm.
they have no systems working. Nothing. They don't even have internal communication working. They don't have sensors, nothing. So Saru is very well aware of how everyone is feeling, and he, I'm sure, is feeling much the same way. But now he's a commanding officer, and a darn good one, I might add.
Yeah.
And he explains to everyone, I know you are all anxious to find out about what's out there, but we need to deal with what's in here and get ourselves taken care of before we can worry about anything else. And so he says that everyone's going to work in pairs and we're going to start repairing the ship. They know it's an EPS grid problem, but they don't know exactly where and they can't scan for it with internal sensors. So Reno, of course, is going to modify the tricorders to work more like internal scans, but still doesn't have a great big range. So it's still going to take a lot of work to find these problems. And Saru says he's going to survey the damage personally, and so he and Tilly go off to do that. And they come across our good friend Bryce, who's up on a ladder in a conduit, pulling stuff out of the wall. And there's a translator, which has been mentioned in the original series. That was the first mention of translators, was in the original series. So
Oh,
that is something that's been around a long time. and it's been damaged beyond repair. It has to be rebuilt, but they don't have enough rubidium. Well, they don't know at that point they don't have enough rubidium. And Giorgio shows up with Leland on her shoes.
She got a little Leland on her shoes.
That
Which means
part.
she went in there and jumped around on his.
Oh, she stomped the hell out of him.
Gross.
She said someone has to make sure he was dead. So I think she enjoyed it and probably did that little giggle she does while she was doing it.
That giggle is so freaking sadistic.
And creepy.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's like a twisted little broken inner child.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that kind of, well, sometimes she has the emotional maturity of a child. So
Yeah.
that kind of tracks. Yeah. And there's one interesting point while this is going on and Kayla's gone to sick bay. When she's told that she's cleared for duty, she feels like, no, I shouldn't be.
Something's
and so
not
she
right.
just says, what? And Pollard again says, you're good to go. And so she just kind of stands there because she knows she's not okay. And yet at the same time, she can't find a way to vocalize that yet.
Okay, this is just evidence then that it's not a, you know,
it's not an implant malfunction. It's not control.
Right. It's something beyond. Medically, she's fine. She's fit for duty. It's not a medical issue.
It's not a physical issue. It's a mental issue.
Right. Which is can be medical, of course, still too.
Yep. And as she's walking out, Culber's walking in, and he immediately recognizes something is going on. It's like he's empathic, and he just, because he's kind of smiling, and then he's not smiling. He's watching Kayla go, and he kind of looks after her for a few seconds. He knows something is up.
Yeah.
Because Culber is awesome. And he's also a caretaker. He takes care of people. And he also knows what it feels like to not be yourself or not feel like yourself.
Right.
So, yeah. Oi, then comes a scene that's really hard on me because it's a lot of Giorgio being a jerk, which is after surveying everything and they're in the ready room with Pike's broken table, which really hurt me.
The beautiful table.
It really hurt me to see that table just broken in half like that. It really hurt. Yeah. So they're talking about what needs to be done, and Saru says that they're going to have to go to this settlement that Tilly has discovered there are people there, because they do have a moment earlier where she talks about how there are these atmospheric pockets of floating rock and that they seem to be man-made, and one of them has an active settlement. And so, she's like, it's basically, we succeeded, there is life. And they have like 10 seconds to enjoy that, and then it's back to work. So
mission accomplished. Okay, now what?
Yeah. They don't have enough rubidium, so they have got to go to the settlement because rubidium is super abundant on this planet. But she knows that there is not dilithium. She can't get any dilithium readings, even though there are all of these ships. So that is confusing her. Plus, she's traumatized too. She hasn't had time to process anything. And Giorgio really loses her temper, and we all know why she's really losing her temper, but she takes it out on Tilly. And I like that Tilly's like, what the and Saru stops her. No, it's not that he's shushing her. No, he's not shushing her. A lot of people are like, oh, he shouldn't have shushed her. He didn't. He was taking control of the situation because Giorgio's problem wasn't with Tilly. Giorgio's problem was with the fact that she didn't know what Michael was, when Michael was, neither did they, and she wanted to find Michael right now.
Well, Giorgio's problem is with Giorgio.
Yeah, Giorgio's problem is with Giorgio. Yeah. It's always an internal battle with her.
Yeah.
So. And basically, Saru puts his foot down and just explains to her exactly how things are going to go.
I like that she has the audacity to think that just all of a sudden, now that Michael's not on the ship, that she's going to be the one that's in charge now on
Nah,
Discovery. Like she just,
nah.
yeah, Saru had to fix that real quick.
Yeah. And he did it in a way that was uh forceful is not the word that I want to use. Um I don't know what word I want to use. I hate it when
Well,
this
he didn't
happens.
belittle her necessarily, and he
No, no,
didn't
no.
like he let Giorgio get a little digs, one-liners without responding to it and without giving reinforcement to it.
Mhm.
You know, he let her be where she was emotionally and mentally, but still also laid down the law.
Yeah. He made his position clear. He reminded her that he is the captain and that basically it was kind of like she was trying to challenge his authority just to see what happened, and he showed her. He's like, I'm not scared of you. So
She's
you
testing
can
it,
just,
right?
yeah, you can just back
She's
down.
testing, she's testing the water.
Yeah.
What can she
And
get
I,
away with?
yeah, not much with Saru. He's not
Which
a
is
pushover
which
anymore.
is surprising because Saru is, you know, I think of Saru as a very gentle, again, it's been said in the chat, an empathetic person, an empathic person,
Hmm.
but you know, he still is no nonsense, you know.
Yeah.
It's interesting to be able to have both of those qualities, I think, in a character.
Yes. Oh, there's one thing that has been brought up before, and I'm going to
The
let's talk
commander
about
thing.
this. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, when you think about it, she wasn't a captain. She was an emperor. So there isn't really an equitable title to that over
But
in
she was
this
captain
universe.
in the mirror when Starfleet brought her on to pretend to be Captain Giorgio, they called her Captain
Yes, they
Giorgio.
called her captain, but she wasn't a captain. But when she started working for Section 31, she was given the rank of commander. She wasn't top dog. That was Leland. Leland was the captain.
Captain, right. But as far as everyone else knew, all the people that don't know that she's from the mirror universe, wouldn't she still be considered captain to them?
Not necessarily, because I'm pretty sure at this point, everybody knows she's from the mirror universe. So
Maybe.
at least everybody on Discovery knows.
Hmm.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, word probably got around.
Oh yeah.
It's
Well,
like,
and
who are they
any
going to tell now? They're all, everybody's dead that they left behind.
yeah, that is true. It's like, who cares at this point? So yeah. Another, yeah, Leland did call Giorgio commander.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, upgraded from contractor status. Yes, yes, that's a good point. That's a good
Talked about
point.
this in open channel too, Patrick. Today we
Hmm.
recorded it.
Yeah. So there we go. That's the whole thing with the commander thing. Now, technically, Saru is still a commander as well. However, you can be a different rank and still be the captain. Like you could be a lieutenant and still be the captain of the ship. So don't confuse rank with the captaincy because
Right.
they're actually two different things. But yeah, I really feel for Tilly in this scene because she's taking a beating that she really just doesn't deserve. And Saru shuts it down. And I love that Giorgio's response is to say nothing and just leave without being dismissed. That's her one act of defiance because she really has nothing else she can say to him. He's resolute. He and Tilly are going to the settlement, which Non also was like, her? And then went, I'm sorry. Because I think in that instance, Non was reacting as a security officer and not as, a friend.
Well, definitely not as a friend.
Yeah. Because, she's a security officer. If you're going to go into a place you've never been before and you don't know what's going to be
Bring your
there,
security officer.
you're going to bring your security officer. But we find out why Saru chose Tilly, which of course I already knew because Tilly So they're going to go get some more rubidium and hopefully rebuild their translator. And so they go off across the way, off across Iceland to the settlement. And they're talking along the way. Now, I love the outfits that they're wearing. They're sort of incognito outfits.
No.
It just, I want Tilly's outfit.
I want Saru's. I think we should cosplay. We could totally cosplay Tilly and Saru in this episode. You and
Yes,
me.
yes, we
It
could.
would work. I need some makeup, but we could do it.
You'd also need some stilts because I'm like almost as tall as you, if not taller.
I'm 5'8" and 3/4.
Well, I'm 5'9", so meh.
Oh, you're a little taller than me. Okay.
Yeah.
I need stilts.
Yes.
Could have been a
So
transporter malfunction and I shrank a little bit.
there you go. There you go. Or maybe you're just a hologram and something's wrong with your holographic matrix on your mobile emitter.
Hello. Anybody?
Voyager reference for
I
everybody.
love that scene. Oh, Robert Picardo. You are hilarious.
Yeah, this
Oh,
is
look, Captain Pikachu is in the house, y'all.
Yep. And this is a fair point because Kayla would be injury free if they had just had seatbelts.
Yeah.
I can understand, the pros and cons because there are people who are like, oh, well, if you have those seatbelts and you get trapped in it and the ship is burning down around you and you can't escape. I get both sides of it, but I'm kind of on the side of seatbelts in this one because Kayla took a bad, bad, bad trip over that console. So
Okay,
just
so
saying.
stress-free. I just wanted they were talking about the wink that Pike gave when he knew about the mirror universe, but most people didn't because it's
Mhm,
classified. So that's why he gave Giorgio the wink, stress-free K,
mhm,
because not everybody knew at that time in that area in that era.
mhm. Well, here's the thing. I think that all that happened off screen because there
Right.
is that time in that particular episode where Pike is pressing Michael for information. He's like, "This is not the Georgiou I knew."
Like three
Yeah,
times, he can tell that
and
she's keeping something from him.
yeah, and she says it's a longer conversation and they can't do that right that second and to please trust her. And he says, I do trust you, but I am going to want those answers and don't make me come for them.
Yeah.
So at some point they had that conversation and she confessed all.
Okay. Yeah.
We
And
just didn't
stress-free
see
K.
that on screen.
That's your point. Yeah. 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 Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Where was I? Tilly and
Where
Saru
were we?
walking across the snow and ice.
Ah, the scene, Brandy. I know you
I
love this
know.
scene.
It makes me emotional a few times. The first time is when Tilly is just kind of talking a lot because she's scared. And I sometimes do that. I will talk too much when I'm scared. So I feel that. And she apologizes and says, I'm sorry. I'm talking so much because I'm scared. And Saru says, I know.
I know. Oh,
And then he
I
says, keep
love
talking,
it.
Ensign.
I love it. Justice for Tilly. Finally, I've said it in every show that I've recorded this week, but too many times people have been telling Tilly to shut up and be quiet and say fewer things, and they laugh at her on the bridge. And I'm just like, no, no, let Tilly be Tilly.
Mm-hmm.
Let her keep talking. Keep
Mm-hmm.
talking. Say what you need to say. Now, I will say that made me very happy, but I think Saru is the perfect person to help her figure out when is the time to do that and when is it time to not do that, because later in that scene he says, I need you to put that fear aside right now. You can be afraid, but I need you to put that aside. So he's really helping train her to know how to channel those feelings.
Yes, because he knows what it's like to be afraid all the time. So, what
Mm.
better person to help her with that? Because Tilly isn't used to being afraid like this. I mean, she's been through some stuff, but this is something that none of them have been through. So, I think that what he said and how he said it was so perfect. And
Yeah.
then, she asks him, "Why did you pick me to come with you?" And he talks about how she's smart and capable and an engineer. He says, "Oh, I wanted an engineer." He's like, "There's engineers on the ship." And he says, "And you make a wonderful first impression." And again, and Tilly does too. She kind of she smiles, and then she like puts her fist to her nose because she's like trying not to cry, and she sniffles, and then she contains again. But yeah, it's when they see that figure in the distance that they wonder if they're going to be walking into a trap somewhere.
I can't wait to see Tilly grow into being a captain.
Oh, I know. Well, it's like Stamets said, she's going to make a great captain because everything she does comes from love.
Mm-hmm.
So, so that's one of my favorite scenes in this entire episode because I feel like there's vindication for Tilly.
I'm going to say that
And
that's one of my favorite conversations in Discovery so far.
agree,
Amongst many, but
many.
it's in the category of like the, I don't know, the top 20 conversations in the past two and change seasons of Discovery for me.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I don't see it moving. It's just it's it's what I've been wanting for a long time
Yes,
for both
I
of their
feel that.
characters.
Right, right. Because I think that they were both kind of just, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for here? I hate it when I do this. I think they were both undervalued by fans
Mm.
especially in season 1. And both of them started to come into their own in season 2. And now they're really, really forming their best selves in this season.
It's interesting that you say that you feel like they were undervalued because I'm like, you don't start a series with a character fully developed and grown.
Oh,
They
no.
have to go on a journey, you know? We got to see
Yeah.
that. That's part of it.
It is part of it, but fans and or viewers, because viewers and fans are not the same thing, because somebody can view something just because they want to hate it, but fans, actually watch because they enjoy it, I feel. Sometimes people aren't patient enough for that. And I really appreciate the character development that has happened for both of these characters over the course of the series, since they are two of my favorite characters. Actually, it's really hard for me to pick favorites. Y'all know that. And when it comes to main cast, it's always going to be Tilly because I am Tilly. I understand Tilly with every fiber of my being, every bit of me. So I'm not as smart as she is, though. In any case, let's talk about the Old West Saloon. They follow this person and watch him disappear in a cavern because they've never seen a personal transporter. And so they walk into the same area and boom, Old West Saloon. Full of Corridonites, which is something we've not seen since Enterprise, right, Chris?
Right. Enterprise, we saw one episode, Shadows of Pajem,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then they were
Yes.
referenced in another episode as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. There are a lot of opinions about this. I'm going to disregard what I've heard on the internet and talk about how I feel about it. I just felt like it was actually more like a small cantina scene from Star Wars.
Oh God,
Like
really?
we're a bunch of strangers and we just walk in and because we need something and nobody wants us here. Okay. All right. That's great. Well, we still need stuff. So it actually, and people have referenced Firefly and all those sort of things. And there have
Right.
been, a lot of representations of Western themes in space operas before. So it's not the
Yes.
first time, won't be the last.
Yeah.
Um,
They're in a new frontier, and that's what, all the old West conquest and all that kind of stuff is about. That's what those stories
mhm,
are. Or we just
yeah.
happen to be in space. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. Oh, we're getting schooled by Chris Hill. Thank you.
Oh,
Because
Terra Prime also.
yes, also Tarot Prime and Demons.
I knew Demons. I
I
couldn't
had
remember the name
forgotten
though.
about that. I have a hard time watching Demons and Tarot Prime because
Terra Prime's rough.
they're so real. They're so real. They're
Hey,
so
Chris.
real. Yeah, hi. Thanks for joining us live
Yeah,
tonight,
thanks
Chris.
for
I'm so
coming in.
excited you're here. That makes me so happy. So, if you don't know already, Chris does a podcast called The Expanse, which is about Star Trek Enterprise on Holosuite Media, which you can find at holosuitemedia.com. And he does that with Kyle. And so check them out. It's a fun podcast. I've guested a couple of times for writers' rooms, and it was joyous and wonderful. So
You're good at
give
those,
them a
though.
listen. I didn't expect to be. I basically the first time I ever did a writer's room, I was terrified. I thought I'm not going to have any ideas. I'm not going to have anything to contribute. And somehow it just all worked out. So, yay.
Apparently, the new Vedic Assembly is very, very good. I've heard.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We have a great time. Me and Liam and Nick. Oh, Liam's going to kill me for messing up his name.
Neem and Lick.
No, Nick. I've been up for a long time, you guys. I am sometimes a little bit. So let's move on. Basically, we've got the one sympathetic guy in there, which is Cal. And he's the first person to put away his phaser after Tilly starts spouting regulations to prove that they're really from Starfleet, from the Federation. Because it's true, they could have just stolen a ship. That doesn't mean that they're part of Starfleet or part of the Federation. But
Mhm.
she proved that, by stating that an officer shall behave in a manner fitting to officers at all time. So, yeah, they quickly get on good terms, but the bartender Osir is still kind of like, no, we're gonna get in trouble for this, and they've already killed so many of us. And that's when they find out about Zara. Okay, so what do we think about Zara? I have already seen some comments
I
in the
saw somebody say that he's the most boring bad guy or something like that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm gonna
I
say something to the chat, and I want to ask y'all because
mhm,
I asked Brandy and Dave last night when we recorded what the future holds, and I
mhm.
asked my guest in open channel today, did Zara, when he first came in, did anybody think that he was a little bit Marlon Brando-ish? Or am I the only one that thinks that? Like when he first started talking when he came in, specifically in the Island of Dr. Moreau, but he had that vocal quality. I don't know. Let me know what you think. You could totally ignore this and move on, but that's what I thought. As far as Zara as a character, he was a bad guy.
Mhm. He was an opportunist.
He was a
So
bad guy. I can see him coming back. I could see him not coming back. I don't think that they personally, I don't think that they put enough into his character to make us really want more. So I'd be okay if we didn't.
yeah, I really don't think we're going to see him again. I think he got killed by parasitic guys. Ha ha.
That
Sorry.
people are not liking the scene or with him, it looks
You
like.
know,
What do
I
you
I don't mind it because there are always going to be people like that trying to take advantage of everyone else. And they are always going to be people who aren't smart enough or strong enough to do it on their own. And that's why they surround themselves with henchmen. That's what Zara is. He's a big fish in a little pond in his mind. But really, he can't hack it on his own. And I think that that's obvious.
think? Good comments about him. Again, the reference because he was on Hell on Wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is one in defense.
Right.
Yeah, he is smart enough to know Disco had time traveled and was trying to take advantage of it. That is true. And
He's a loser though. Like
he
he's a loser. Like
he's a loser.
he's not like I don't know. He just seems like you're just pathetic. Like you're just a loser. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
basic. Bimasa Berwin 55.
Mm-hmm. He was basic. And I love when Giorgio does dress him down in that regard. But yeah, he figures out pretty quickly that they're time travelers. And everybody he seems to be surprised that they just are sort of nonchalant about time travel. That's because they don't know yet that the time wars have happened,
Right.
and or the temporal wars, excuse me. Time wars, that's a totally different thing. Temporal wars have happened, and all time travel technology was destroyed after that fact. So they're just kind of like, yeah, we know. Yeah, time travel. Okay. So it was one of those things that fit in with what we had already seen in the first episode as well. That people are just kind of like, oh, time traveler. Okay.
Belinda said, "Can we have him come back and attack with a thesaurus?" Just throw.
Um, that would be hilarious. I would watch that actually.
Yeah.
I would watch that. So,
Oh,
uh,
Negan. Oh, from Walking Dead. Interesting.
mm,
Okay. I'm a huge Walking Dead fan. Okay.
yeah, I can get I can understand that. I don't watch the show. Sorry.
Yeah. Not as smart as Negan, I don't believe.
Hmm.
But there was also a good point that there are tons in this era, there are tons of Zaras as couriers and opportunists.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, and he's a sexual harasser as well, so that's great. Yeah, that makes my skin crawl. And I feel honestly, I think Tilly did really well in this situation because I'm sure she was terrified, and I know she was also angry, and I'm sure she just wanted to break his nose.
every woman knew what was happening in those
Hmm.
few moments where he did that. Every
Hmm.
woman understood that
Hmm.
and what was going on and where Tilly was. And I mean, the restraint she showed, I
Yeah,
I I I don't know that I would have had it in me.
I don't know that I would have either. I probably would have hauled off and hit him and ended up dead. So I just that's just kind of my reaction when someone is encroaching in my space and calling me sweetheart, and I'm like,
Mm.
no, thank you.
You look like you could, I don't know, he didn't say robust, but
Look
something
like you
like
could
that.
handle yourself.
Yeah. Comment on her physicality. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I he made my skin crawl, which is his job. And honestly, it's hard to be intimidated by a guy with a mullet, but um, you know, he yeah, sorry. I just couldn't get over the hair. I'm like, dude,
It's hard
can
to
you
be
go to a
intimidated
barber? It
by a
just
guy with a mullet.
it really is. Really was just hard for me to be intimidated by the hair. But, I fully believed that he had a short temper and would absolutely kill everyone there. So, just
Yeah.
because he could, just as a show of strength, if nothing else.
I mean, the Cal death was awful. That
Oh,
was
it was
awful.
awful.
It
That
hurt me.
it hurt me
I
too. It
kept
made me
hoping,
very
no,
upset.
no, 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 please, no, no, he's not gonna, no, maybe he's, nope.
Mm. And that was a torturous death. It wasn't quick. It wasn't painless. It was excruciating. And I felt it. I mean, that was a really good performance because I felt
Yeah, it was really
that
good.
pain. Horrifying. Horrifying. Ugh. So yeah, he wants dilithium. For some reason, I almost said duranium. I'm losing my mind. So he knows that they've got to have dilithium. He's going to make them go back to the ship with him for it. And Saru's like, no. I love Saru in this whole sequence because he is not giving an inch. He just flat out refuses. He's like, no, we're not taking you back to our ship. And they haggle over the
No,
price. Yeah.
no.
It's just like, No, I don't. It was just a very no. I don't think so. Again, just really being a great leader, really being a great captain, even though, he's there to protect everyone that is in that room that's being held at gunpoint by Sarah and his henchmen.
Well, he kind of holds himself separate from the rest of the room and what's going
Mhm.
on in the room. Like you can tell that he's a little bit he holds himself above everything that's going on, and maybe that's the observing and everything that he's doing. But he definitely felt like he was a step away from everything. And I
Yep.
assume because, in order to be in control of the situation as much as he could be.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, he kept the attention on himself, and
Mm.
instead of that attention going to Tilly or to any of the Corridor Knights. This is a good point. It goes to show that if Zara can be a successful criminal, the lack of the Federation has long-ranging effects. Here.
That's a
That
good
is, yeah,
observation.
absolutely true.
It's that guy
Absolutely true.
that's stalking you, but
Yeah, he shows up at all of my live shows. It's kind of,
God,
I mean, it's
man.
it's flattering, but I'm kidding.
You know what? I say give it a chance.
Okay, I think I might. I think I might.
Go for it. Why
Hey,
not?
hey, hey, Dave, meet me after the show, okay?
Ooh.
In case you guys don't know, he's my husband. Anyway.
Anybody in there for me? I'm available.
Yes. Oh. Anyway, uh, I should backtrack a little bit, because I kinda, like, focus on all the stuff in the saloon, and I kind of focus on all the stuff on the ship because it's when you're talking about it, it's hard to switch back and forth, like the way it does in the episode. Um, yeah. There is a scene on the ship where Giorgio becomes fascinated with Linus's enormous visible spectrum. And
Minus this
there,
enormous visible spectrum. I just wanted
mhm,
to pause
yes. And I know that
there. I'm for real crying now.
oh, we are gonna
Oh,
get to this. I promise you
yes,
we're going to get to this.
best part of the show.
I'm gonna finish off this whole Zara stuff. Um, so there are people who seem to have been confused about why she would care about Linus's visual spectrum, I guess I should say. It's because he can see things that no one else on the ship can see. He can see farther than anyone else can see. They have no sensors. They have tricorders with a limited range, and she wants to know what she's about to walk into. Because, of course, she's not going to stay behind. If anyone thought she actually was going to obey Saru, they don't know this Giorgio very much. So, and Saru does nail her in that conversation that he has with Tilly, that she lacks the emotional awareness to be able to communicate how worried she is about Michael and how desperate she feels to find her.
He nailed her with that line. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Those are I find that what he said to Tilly about Giorgio is something I have to remind myself about people when they piss me off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know?
Sometimes people just lack emotional awareness and
Mm-hmm.
self-awareness. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So Giorgio comes in acting like she's been taken prisoner. We all know differently. And she starts a fight and kills a lot of people. One with a leg hook. Oh my god,
She
the
kicked
leg
some
hook,
booty.
and just cracked his neck. That lady can kill people with a one leg. A one leg.
For me, it's like the way the angles in which she can kick. I'm like this sideways tilt sort of
Mhm.
kick thing, and I'm like, how is that even possible?
She is so good
Yeah,
at what she does.
she's a pro.
She is a pro. And Saru, he used his spiny things, so that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
everybody's dead except for Zara, and they decide that his punishment, not they, but the Caridonites, decide that his punishment is going to be to go out into the night with the parasitic ice.
Oh, in the chat, someone stress free was saying Saru was counting on Giorgio sneaking up behind them, and then somebody
Oh,
else was asking, "Do you really think that?" We talked
I
about this right
absolutely do.
yesterday.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think so
Yeah.
too.
I think that he knew that she was not going to stay behind. I
But
think he
she's the
absolutely knew
one to
that.
bring out at the beginning for sure. You know,
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Linus is fine, Marge. Linus is fine
Linus is
because they talk about him later. In fact,
also amazing Kalar toy, by the way. The
oh,
Playmates Kalar.
yes.
Oh no,
Uh,
was that Kalar? Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, long story short, they've got their translator fixed. They're going to go back to the ship and bring them enough dilithium to power their ships, fix their equipment, and still have enough to trade for some other things that they need and get them back on their feet. So back on the ship, we've got still an unconscious Stamets. And I love the way the scene is filmed. I've said it
Yeah.
multiple times, how it seems like he's just there all by himself. And then you see Hugh come in. Well, you don't know that it's Hugh, but you know that it's Hugh come in and press this hypo spray, which apparently has to have a Delta shield on it as well, into his neck. It's like, why are there Delta shields on the hypo sprays? Seriously. Why? Do they really need that branding?
I don't know.
It's just one of those things where I'm like, huh, okay, well, whatever. And then all of a sudden, Stamets wakes up to a very chaotic sick bay.
Yeah. Well,
And
it just you really felt the like he had been in a very still, quiet, comatose like state,
mhm.
and then all of a sudden it's just like back to
It's
reality.
sensory overload, yeah. And he's kind of out of it because he's been in a coma. And Hugh explains that he didn't want to wake him up this soon, but they needed his bio bed because there were some really bad cases. And he's like, worse than me? And he was like, yeah, because Hugh doesn't overreact. If he needs the bio bed, he needs the bio bed. So, of course, Stamets wants to go back to work because, I don't know, ego, duty, what. But Hugh shuts that down and says, and he's like, no, 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 I'm fine. He says, okay, you can go back to work if you can spell, my partner brought me out of a coma and all I got was this lousy t-shirt. Spell it. I love it so much. And, and Paul's just like, my brain scrambled like an egg. Yes. I love that. I love their interaction, all of it. How
Yeah,
do you feel?
it's great. I mean, I love that we get this is what I think. Like in season 2, their relationship was so all over the place. It was so up in the air and hurtful to see these two people that obviously love each other not connecting. And I think that now that we're in a place where the world around them is up in the air, to me, these guys, this couple, is now kind of like a solid foundation that we have. We have something to hold on to now, and it's their love for each other, as was mentioned in the chat, Hugh being an amazing husband when
Mm-hmm.
Paul is not being responsible for himself. And I feel like, oh, this is like a beacon of light. This is like it's kind of like a little moral compass that we have when we're in this completely new territory that we don't really know what's going on. And
Yeah, because
and there's humor in it. Like
there is.
it's funny, you know. He was like,
Yeah.
"Damn it, Paul, come on, you know, I need you to not die so I can kill you or something like that." You know?
Yeah, that comes a bit later.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
he puts Stamets in the cellular regenerator and says he has to stay in there for at least one cycle, 5 if he wants to get rid of that scar. We all know that he's not going to stay in there for even a full cycle, don't we? We do know that. But they're just so cute together. And when Stamets says, it's good to have you back. And then Culber says, it's good to have you alive. And I'm just like,
I
made
like
me
their kiss
emotional.
a lot. That kiss, I
Yeah.
really loved that kiss. That's my
Hmm.
favorite Culmet's kiss that we've seen so far.
Yes.
Although season one when it was good after the jump or before the jump.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. I love them. I love them. I think they're the best. It was also mentioned in the chat. I think that they're the best Star Trek couple.
They are a
Troy
very
and
good
Riker
couple.
are up there with them.
Yes. But it took Troy and Riker so long to just
Right.
get to it. It's just like, come on,
It
you
took them
guys.
more than a season.
Mhm.
We just had
Yeah.
season 2 with Culber and Stamets.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And so yeah, we've got people trying to shovel Leland out of the spore cube. Poor Jean. Justice for Jean, I say. And Reno eventually figures out that which EPS conduit is the problem so that they can restore power and communications and all of those things. First and foremost, power. Power fuels all of those other things.
Mm-hmm.
And Stamets shows up and she's just like, you shouldn't be here. And there she's not being egotistical at all. She is outwardly admitting, oh, I hurt a lot. My spine is in terrible shape. And she keeps sitting down in that sort of tool chest chair thing. Is that a tool chest? It seemed like a tool chest to me.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, I think so. But it had
Yeah.
like a little, yeah, yeah, it was a tool chest for sure.
Yeah.
I think so.
And, you know,
Somebody's asking if Marg is asking if we think that Jean is a tribute. I do.
oh, maybe it is. I hadn't really thought about that,
That's the first thing
but
I thought.
yeah. I liked Gene. He was cute.
He's cute. I
He
know.
was he was very cute. Yeah, um,
It converts from a tool chest to a chair.
nice. I like that. That's actually very functional. It's a good thing. And, they kind of argue about how the repair is gonna get done. Reno says, "Let's get Nielsen and her team up here," and Stamets can't have that. Oh, no, he can't have someone else doing the work that he should be doing.
This is when I really
So,
become annoyed with him. And Stamets, I'm annoyed with frequently.
mhm. Well,
Less
he
in season
no one's
2, but
perfect.
yeah, I'm just like, I think that there's the egotistical part, but it's also like, you're no spring chicken. Like, you're not as young as you used to be. You can't just jump back up. And, there's another younger engineer running around that could just run into the Jeffries tube and take care of stuff.
Mhm.
Learn to delegate and
Yeah,
learn.
yeah. It's, I think in this case, it's an ego thing. It's definitely an ego thing. So he starts climbing that ladder, even though he's obviously in a huge amount of pain, and Reno knows it. But you can't
Yeah,
talk
Mark,
someone out of stupid.
Scotty would have done the same thing. Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't.
Jordy would have done the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But would a female have done that? Obviously not, because Reno said no. Sorry. Reno's like, spine says no.
Yeah.
She knew that she wasn't capable of doing it, and she was.
Ilana would have done it. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if there was someone else who could have done it. I think that Bolana would have let somebody else do it.
Maybe.
Because if it's either let this person do it and know it's going to get done, or go in there and possibly die, I think Balana's slightly more responsible about herself. But
Maybe.
Paul is not good at taking care of himself. And I think that we have shown that to be obvious over the course of this entire series.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And of course, it goes horribly wrong. And the parasitic ice is starting to crust the ship. And there's jostling, and he starts bleeding again. And Reno gets concerned. She even calls him Paul. You know she's concerned now. She's calling him by his first name. Didn't even know she knew his first name. So
I mean, here's the thing. They love each other. Like
bet they hate each other too.
they are they're there's I think it's more Paul, but like they're so similar in so many ways. I just think that Jet is much more comfortable with herself and other people than Paul is.
I think that the friction is because they are too much alike.
Yeah.
And Paul does not like seeing himself in Reno.
I get it. We've all been there. I've done that
Yeah.
for sure.
Yes. So, oh, here's an interesting comment. I think Culver will be Detmer's counselor with her PTSD, but Reno is definitely their best marriage counselor.
Reno is definitely their best marriage counselor.
Agree.
Jojo helps out a little bit too.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, he manages to fix the EPS conduit. Power is restored in the nick of time. And now Kayla is back in the driver's seat. So, oh, there was that great line where where rather Hugh comes in and he's very upset, can't believe that Stamets would do this. And he starts talking very calmly. Okay, Paul, we're going to get you through this. We're going to get you out of there alive so I can kill you.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love Culver. I love him so much.
I know. I know.
I don't know, he warms my heart in a way that I cannot explain. It's just, he gives me warm fuzzies, I guess is the best way to talk about it. So they try to get out of the ice, and this is a part that's very dramatic, and I knew how it was going to end, and I was not disappointed.
So you knew that we were going to see Michael at the end. You had the feeling that we would.
I knew we would. Of course, they set up the possibility that it could be some of Zara's friends or competitors coming because, obviously a lot of people noticed that a starship crashed on this planet. So, but I thought, nah, it's going to be Michael. It's going to be Michael. So Kayla's trying to get him out of the ice, and she is having a breakdown while this is happening because she can't get them out. And everybody's, Saru is calling to her, we need, Lieutenant, and she can't do it. She cannot do it. And it's not her fault that she can't do it. But she's starting to lose it. Like she's almost like to the point where she's, you know, grabbing her head and just ready to burst into tears. She's freaking out. And then the tractor beam happens.
Doing what it's doing. It's parasiting. It looks like it's
Yeah.
even going faster and growing up over
It
the
is
saucer.
because it gets much worse at night. And of course, it doesn't want its tasty dinner to go away. So of course that ice is going to throw it into high gear. But yeah, that tractor, they know the ship is coming in. They're assuming it's unfriendly. They're caught in a tractor beam and they're being hailed. So everyone's like, okay, finally, shields are back on. Weapons are armed and ready. What do you want to do, sir? And Saru takes a moment and he says, open a channel. And I'm like, right decision, correct decision. Because if you're going to be facing an enemy, you should know who that enemy is. But we don't see an enemy. We see a lot of static. And then we finally see the face of Michael Burnham with her glorious box braids. Oh my Lord, her
glorious.
hair.
She's radiant.
She is radiant. She's always radiant, but she's just extra radiant.
She's so happy to see. It's been a year. Like she's so happy and relieved and joyful. She didn't know if she would ever see them again.
She really honestly didn't know. It could have been, and the next day or 1,000 years, which we covered in that first episode.
It could have been the day before. Well, I guess not. Well, she came through first. Well, I guess it does. Who knows? It's timey-wimey stuff. So,
yep.
They could have gone through and been destroyed right away, and that's it.
Yeah, she didn't know, but she retained her hope that she would see them again.
That means that she has aged more than the rest of them now.
Yeah,
And, like, if there's somebody else,
for
yeah,
everybody else, it's been a day.
if somebody else had a birthday that was like the day after Michael's, then she would be, or before Michael's, she would be older than them now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that is, that's a long time to be wondering if you're ever going to see your friends again. But for the folks on Discovery, it's instantaneous for them. And the look on Giorgio's face when she sees Michael's face acting, some great face acting from Michelle Yeoh right there,
As
because you know
always.
exactly what she's thinking and feeling in that moment. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that's where it ends, is Michael saying that she's been waiting for them, looking for them for a year, and
Mm-hmm.
credits roll.
And yes, Marg, we do get the Vidrash reference from
Mm-hmm.
Calypso.
Yep, that is
Mhm.
that is definitely a callback to Calypso.
But it is not everyone that calls them the Vidrash, because book says Federation. Cal
Mm-hmm.
does, right? Or does Cal say
Yep.
Starfleet? I don't
No, Cal says Starfleet. So
know. Mm-hmm.
yep. So I guess it's time to ask everyone in the chat what their ratings are. Meanwhile, Chris, give us your final thoughts, and if you have any kind of rating that you would like to give, please do so.
Well, I loved the episode. I loved that we got an episode 1 and 2 that were different sides of the story. We got the different perspectives, uh, Michael's side and then the crew side. I thought that was a really smart way to start the season. Because, and I've said this before, but it just feels like episodes 1 and 2 are like this overture.
Mm.
We don't really know what's going on in this world at all. We have a little bit of ideas, sprinklings of inklings, and like that's it. So I feel like season 3, episode 3, to me, I think that's when the season really is going to start. I will say I brought along my Giorgio fan sets, and because in the next episode, the preview for the next episode, we see Giorgio in a Discovery uniform, and I want to know why. Why is
So
that?
does everyone, and I know, but I can't
I
tell
know that you
you.
know. I know that you know, and that's partially why I say it again, because you know, and I don't like that you know, and I don't know, but I don't want to know. You know?
I know, I know. So I am wearing my Kayla Detmer pin. We already talked about that, didn't we? I accidentally called her Kayla. Anyway,
Taylor.
so this is the Vidrash might be the
Right.
pidgin word for Federation. That is
Oh,
actually correct. That
that
is
makes
actually
sense,
correct.
David Henderson. With
I
a,
was going to
looks
make
like
that
a
point.
pineapple growing out of your head.
All right, so we've got some ratings here.
Well,
Five out
I
of
can't
five
wait.
Bobcats on drugs. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What's your rating? What's your rating?
Oh,
What's
my
your rating?
rating?
What's your
Oh,
rating? You
oh,
don't
I
have to
don't
do one
know.
if you don't want to.
I don't know. I'll get back to you. I want to know what
Okay.
everybody else thought first.
So 5 out of 5 Bobcats on drugs. 5 out of 5 Bobcats. 4 out of 5 buckets of Leland goo.
Ew.
5 interrupted WTFs from Tilly. 4 out of 5 trans data replacements. 7.5 out of 10 really long worded T-shirts.
Oh, because they were
One,
talking about they should make T-shirts that say "My partner brought me out of a coma, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt."
I bet that shows up on the Star Trek shop.
I'd buy it immediately.
Same. Dave rates it 1 space western. So, as far as me, I really 5 full cycles in the cellular regenerator. Yes. Thank you. Oh wow.
Oh, who is that?
Who? Who
Who in the
is that?
world? Oh
Oh my
my!
goodness.
We have a
Somebody's here.
is it a Zoom bomber? Get out of here!
Hi, Dan.
There's no
Anyway,
password.
yep. So
Oh, I
I
like this one. 88 out of 90 crew members on board the Discovery. So, 88 keys on a piano. I
mm,
loved that number. I wonder if somebody thought, "Oh, let's make it 88 or something." You know,
yeah.
I don't know, a music lover maybe.
Hmm. Could
I
be.
just like that because I'm a pianist, y'all. So
Yeah.
it made me happy.
So there. Uh, what was I saying? Uh,
Your rating.
no, I wasn't saying my rating. I was trying to say my final thoughts. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
I really enjoyed this episode. It has so many great moments in it. So far, we're 2 for 2 for crying for Brandy, as far as each episode this season. So the season 2 trend is carrying through to season 3, and probably will continue the rest of the season because I'm super emotional. Hi, have you met me? So I feel about this episode the way that Saru looks at Tilly when he tells her that she is a wonderful first impression.
Nice.
Yep.
I don't have a rating really, but I just,
Yeah, I've stopped doing ratings because that's I just take a moment from the episode and say I feel about this the way this is. So
when Brandy cries. Chris.
yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing now.
Yeah.
Because Chris and Liam concocted that and stuck it in an episode without my knowing. And so when I was listening to that episode, I'm like, what is this? It cracked me up so hard.
Liam
Oh,
commissioned me to write a piece for that
yes,
segment.
indeed.
And I
And
put
well
it in the
done.
last What the Future Holds too. Twice.
Yeah, I know. So, Chris, tell people where they can find you thither and
Oh,
yon.
well, I first want to say thank you, Dan, for asking me to be on tonight. It's been so fun, and I always love to podcast with my good friend Brandy, and I love being back on the live show. It's been a minute. So thank you, thank you, thank you, and thanks everybody for hanging out, even though it was me and not Dan. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at CD Littlefield. That's my personal handles, and then one of my shows is Open Channel, and that's Open Channel Trek on Instagram and Twitter, and that's a fan reaction podcast. With we reread the listener comments about every new Star Trek episode, and then at 4 Questions Trek, that's the number 4 not spelled out, at 4 Questions Trek, my other interview podcast called There Are 4 Questions, and I interview lots of different kinds of Star Trek people, well-known, not well-known, cosplayers, actors, composers, podcast hosts, etc. That's it.
Excellent. You can find me doing far too many things. I'm just going to say follow me on Twitter at Brandywine12 because I'm posting about the stuff that I'm doing there. And as far as I know, we are doing the Unready room next week, which is Halloween. And as far as I know, there is no special Halloween theme set for that because we will have a new episode of Discovery to discuss. Also, I
I worn
feel like
my disco scant.
yeah, I don't have any Star Trek cosplay because women my size are not allowed to cosplay Star Trek stuff.
Yes.
Anyway, if I can ever find a sweater coat that will work, I am going to cosplay as Tilly. I've already found a wig, and I'm going to cosplay as Tilly walking across those icy plains, icy plains. So, yeah. I do not have a Trek themed costume, so I will be appearing as a Star Trek fan.
Good costume.
Yeah, it's my everyday look. So thanks so much everybody for joining us tonight. We appreciate you, and everyone who is watching this after the fact, we appreciate you as well. Michael Burnham is wishing you well, and we will see you next week. Have a great night, everybody. Live long and prosper.
Bye, y'all. Thanks.